Hello, my friends, my family, my community, my tribe. Welcome to the Hippie Moms Podcast. Oh, yeah. I just love the finishing, you guys. Really trying to work on that. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my gut health series because I love talking about gut health. I really do. I love it. And I'm going to create space and ask God, the universe, to bring some gut health experts in. And let me just tell you, I'm not an expert, but I have spent a lot of time studying the gut and really playing around with my gut. I'm playing around with my gut. But just really doing different things to create more optimal health in my life. And if you listen to the last podcast, hopefully you got a good feel of why it's important to really understand the gut and to learn about it. And to, as we move forward, we're going to talk about things that we can do to really help our gut health. And now is the time to do it, my friends. I really, really do believe that. It's time to, if we really want to help ourselves, help our bodies, help our health, help our families, our community, and the future of the world, it begins in our gut. I know that sounds crazy, but I really do believe that. So one of the things I noticed that I did not cover on the last one is really talking about the gut barrier. Because I feel like once you understand that and you get a visual, which I'm hoping I can give that to you today, you will be more motivated to create the changes in your lifestyle to make that gut barrier as healthy as possible. Because really this information I find is fuel. If I know that what I'm doing is not serving the best version of the host, which is my soul home, my body, my form, then I feel more motivated to make changes. It's not as hard. And one of the things I really want to, again, Hippocrates said, all disease begins in the gut. And really, almost every health problem can be traced back to our gut. Now, in the U.S., there are around 70 million people struggling with chronic digestive problems. And so this includes like those with diagnosable conditions, but it doesn't count anyone dealing with nagging symptoms like acid reflux or bloating. And those are really common. Now, I've said this so many times, but these symptoms are messengers from your body. They're either going like this, hey, Becky, hey, check it out. This isn't really working. I need better food. I need to sleep better. I need to move my body, right? Or then they become, hey, wake the F up, right? They're yelling at you. And that's, that's just, I hope you get that. It's like they're telling you something. And most of the time we don't want to listen, or we want to go to our doctor and get something to shut those messages up. But then guess what? Once you shut those messages up, what happens? More messages come, more and more. And now they're different. And now you need more pills and other things to help those messengers to shut the F up. So what we're going to do is we're going to start listening to the messengers. We're going to listen to the symptoms, and we're going to say, how can I help you? What can I do? What can I change in my lifestyle to create more harmony in this body? And when we take that approach, my friends, mamas, things shift. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to shift. We shift, and then we shift the health of our families, our children, then we shift the health of our communities, and then our world. But we have to begin with us, right? So I want to kind of help you understand that when we have an unbalanced and unhealthy microbiome, there's a lot of chronic conditions that are linked to this. All autoimmune conditions, mental health disorders, poor immune health, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, so common now. I read something that we could potentially in the next 10, 15 years, almost 50% of Americans could have diabetes. How scary is that? Skin conditions, acne, psoriasis, eczema, dermatitis, weight gain, obesity, acid reflux, cancer, asthma, chronic sinus infections, constipations, and diarrhea. And let me tell you, if you listen to my earlier podcast when I was sharing about when I worked in commercial real estate, I had chronic lower back pains. I had chronic sinus infections. I was either constipated or having diarrhea all the time. I did not look that great. To be honest, my skin was a mess. God, if I could just go back and be like, Becky, all you got to do, research gut health, start figuring it out. But my doctors, they didn't do that. They just wrote down prescriptions and basically was like, there's nothing you can do, just take this. And it makes me so sad. It makes me so sad. And then, especially with these mental health, I have a very, I'm going to share a story with you right now. I wasn't planning to do this, but I'm going to, just coming up for me. This is really sad for me. So when I worked in commercial real estate, I had a business partner. I had 3 business partners, and one was the name of Rick Murphy. And Rick and I, he was like an uncle to me. He really was. We spent a lot of time together. I mean, really, your work people become like your family. And he was an uncle to me, and we worked together for, 10 years, I think. It's a long time. And, he was going through a lot of depression and things, and he was on a lot of pharmaceutical drugs. And I think he was self-medicating, and he was going through a divorce. And, there was part of me, I was like, come do a yoga class with me, or, hey, you need to stop eating that crap and try this instead. And, I had no idea I so wish I knew back then that I know now. I don't know if it would have helped, but he was hurting inside, and he was on so many prescriptions, and he ended up killing himself and committing suicide. And it just, it breaks my heart. And I know that almost all of us have a story like that. And it's so sad because I get so angry at those doctors that just gave him these prescriptions without any help, without any support, without any idea of how he could actually support his body. It just really freaking pisses me off because he had 2 children and he had a life worth living. He was a wonderful man. He was such a wonderful person. And, this is why I feel this work is so important. The more people that know about their gut, about their microbiome, about how the things that how they're living, how they're eating, all these things are greatly impacting their health, inner and outer health, and their entire life. And now you're going to have some people that aren't going to want to make any changes, right? None. And that's fine. So be it. You don't want to make changes. You don't want to get out of your comfort zone and start creating health in your life. Fine. Don't do it. But you know what? You're going to reap the consequences. So what's the saying? You either pay the farmer now or pay pharma later. It's the same thing. It's like you either do the work now or you're going to have a lot more shit work to do in the future. And that's what it's about. It's like taking the bull by the freaking horns and making changes in your life, right? Stop making excuses. You deserve to live an amazing life. And the thing is that we all know someone who suffers from not only mental illnesses, but autoimmune conditions, skin conditions. We're in a time where these diseases are common, and those that suffer are, of course, prescribed pharmaceuticals that cover the symptoms, but exacerbate the main problem and create worse gut health. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the gut barrier. Okay. We're going to talk about the gut barrier, and then we're going to go into digestion a little bit. I love talking about this because what I'm hoping this particular podcast does is it helps you understand the gut a little bit more and how digestion plays a huge role in keeping us healthy. Okay. So the gut barrier is the inside of you and the outside world. It's this barrier between the inside of you and the outside world. That's what I meant. And it's the largest barrier that protects you. Yeah. It's actually considered outside the body, you guys. This system within us is actually, because it is actually exposed to the outside world. We're putting food into it. We're putting things into it. Where our heart, our lungs, our bones, they're protected from the outside world. But our microbiome, our digestive system is not. It is literally exposed to the outside world. And it has a unique job. This is so simple. Let the good in, keep the bad out. Right? Nutrients in, everything else out. Okay? That's its job. And it's responsible for keeping out all microbes that could really wreak havoc on our bodies. And the thing is, when our gut lining is compromised, okay, remember, this is the tight junctions, okay? Your gut lining is tight junctions. And it's in a healthy gut lining is tightly like a zipper. It's zipped up, all right? But when those junctions break apart, what happens is they allow inflammatory and bacterial endotoxins, okay, that's basically just toxins, causing these molecules we don't want in our body, to infiltrate our bloodstream. Then what happens is it stimulates our immune system, okay? Our immune system gets stimulated, and it causes inflammation. And because it triggers the immune system, this is how autoimmunity comes. Because what happens is the immune system is always activated. And then it starts attacking parts of our body, thinking that it's something from the outside. All right? So these toxins and then they can end up in our brain. And now, can you see how anxiety, Alzheimer's, MS, Parkinson's, these brain disorders can begin from a leaky gut? Can you just see that? Because things are coming into the bloodstream that don't belong there and making their way to the brain. And some of these things, when as the leaky gut, builds and opens, we can then have a leaky brain. Okay, same concept there. And so this is why I'm so adamant about supporting and rebuilding the gut lining. It's so important. Okay. Now, here's what I want you to do. I love this quote from Hippocrates. If someone wishes for good health, one must first ask oneself if he is ready to do away with the reasons for his illness. Only then is it possible to help him. And that's a big thing. A lot of people are not in a place where they are willing to get rid of things that are causing them illness. Let's talk about alcohol. Alcohol's a big one, you guys. I used to drink all the time. I mean, especially I mentioned earlier on in the last podcast when we had a foster child, okay? And we had 3 kids under the age of 18 months. It was so intense. And I'll tell you, the only way I could cope was to drink. And what I realized is that my drinking habits were really taking me down. I was not only gaining weight, my skin looked like shit, and I just started really unraveling. And at that point, during that moment, I wasn't ready to give up alcohol. It was a crutch. And so this quote really sits deep with me because I know how it feels when you're not ready to give up things, like Doritos or, just say bread or things that that if you just eliminated for a while, you could really help your body. Some people aren't willing to do that. So, and that's fine. Sometimes it's just planting seeds. And maybe that's all you're here to do is to plant some seeds and to think about things and to research and do your own, mind work around it. But if you're ready and you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, then, this is when you start making changes. And that's when you start to feel empowered. So how can we remove things that cause leaky gut? How do we do that? And this is the thing. I think this is beautiful as we transition into this, because again, there might be some things in here you're like, there's no way I could ever live without that. And that's fine. That's fine. That's your decision. I'm just here to present the information. Okay. And I'm going to just share with you what I do that has helped me. So the most important element in healing and supporting our gut is that we are dedicated to the process. And that's what I tell all my clients that go through my 14-day gut healing cleanse. You have to commit, and before you do the program, I'm going to do a podcast about the program. So if anyone is interested, you can get the nitty gritty, and it's really not expensive. I mean, I'm really making it affordable for people because I believe in it and it works. And you can even check my website. I have tons and tons and tons of testimonials. But you got to spend time prepping and really getting into the mindset. And what happens is as we begin to remove foods or substances that negatively impact our gut health, it's challenging. It can be challenging. That's why you need a support group. That's why you need, we have a group on Facebook, and you have me, and you have people to be there to help you hold accountable, which I think is so important. But you have to connect to why you desire good health. And this is what it's so important. This is what keeps you going through any major change or in your life, is why you're doing it, why you're getting out of your comfort zone, because you want more. You want more in life, and you deserve that. Okay? I know I'm going to say that billions of times on this podcast. You might even get sick of it. I don't care. You deserve it. You deserve to live a life that is the optimal expression of your soul impression. That's actually, if you want to know, that's my a big affirmation that I do is I am living the optimal version of my soul expression. Okay, I love it. So beautiful. All right, so I don't like to put a whole lot of focus on what not to do. That's just, because I think it's better to focus on what we should do, what we can do, what we have control over. But it's important to understand the very things that lead us towards an unhealthy and inharmonious gut lining, right? I mean, that's the thing. We have to know what is causing issues in our body. So here are the things, the trigger foods, toxins, chemicals, and everything that compromise the state of gut health. Okay, and there could be more. Like we said in the last podcast, there's an environmental things, right? There's toxins in environmental that we don't have a lot of control over. Now we can control what's in our home, but we can't control like in our workplaces, which not a lot of us are going to workplaces. But there's only so much that we can control. So here's what I'm doing is I'm giving you control of what you can put in your body. Okay. So one is all processed and refined sugars and grains. And if you listen to my podcast about the evolution of the modern diet, one of the things I mentioned was the introduction of sugar. That was a huge, huge shift in humanity because we had never had access to sugar. Sugar, we are wired for sugar. We want sugar because it's a fast, I'm snapping here, a fast form of energy. And our body loves fast forms of energy because it doesn't have to break it down. It doesn't have to do anything. But the problem is that it creates a lot of hormone imbalances and, of course, insulin. I'm not going to get too techie on that, but that's the issue. So grains, refined grains, are just like sugar, if not. Dr. Mark Hyman even says that grains are even worse than sugars. So they turn into sugar in the body. So refined, processed grains and sugar, all gluten. Gluten, I know there's a lot of controversy around gluten, but during the cleanse, we absolutely remove gluten. And gluten's a big one. It's for a lot of people because some people cannot live without bread. But I'll tell you what, getting off gluten is difficult, but once you get off of it, you don't miss it. Like, I really don't miss it. I feel so much better. I feel clearer. I feel it. And once you start to feel really amazing, you're like, I don't want to eat stuff that makes me feel like crap. That's the dichotomy again. That's why it's so important to start where you are, because if you're not feeling great and you start feeling great, that gives you the fuel to keep going, okay? Conventionally grown meat and animal products. So conventionally grown animal products contain antibiotics and hormones that wreak havoc on our guts and entire bodies. So the animals are fed these, these GMOs, corn and other soy products, and who knows what else these animals are fed, and that becomes them. And so when we eat that, we then have that. And also the antibiotics, right? And we talked about antibiotics in the last podcast. Antibiotics decimate good and bad gut bacteria, all right? And hormones, their hormones are going to mess with our hormones. It's just hormones. Our bodies are going to process them the same way. So you do not need extra hormones. You want to allow your body, give it what it needs to regulate our own hormones. The next, of course, I touched on this, all GMOs or genetically modified foods. These really have a negative impact on the gut and are linked to leaky gut syndrome. Poorly prepared grains. This is a big thing that we do in the program as we talk about how can you prepare grains. I'm going to give you, because there's a way that you can prepare grains. Like, I'm not talking gluten grains. I'm talking about rice, right? Or buckwheat or non-gluten containing grains. I have a lot of list of them. I can't think of them right now, but you can prepare them for optimal digestion and bioavailability of nutrients. So what happens is when you soak them in a certain way or prepare them in a certain way before you eat them, they actually become more nutritious and easier to digest. All right. So important. I go through that in the program, but that's just something you should know. All alcohol. Yep. You got to eliminate alcohol for a while. Alcohol is not good. Now listen, I love wine. I love to have a glass of wine. I drink Scout and Cellar wine. I'm a consultant for them because I love the wine, and I don't drink it all the time. I really have cut down on my alcohol consumption, and I can't tell you I've never been happier. And now I realize when I actually drink alcohol, and I drink a little too much, it's not fun. It's totally not worth it. And I don't, anyway, so that's a whole other topic. So alcohol is one of those things. Big one, processed vegetable oils. We talked about that. These processed vegetable oils literally starve the brain and provide the body with low quality and highly rancid fat to make cells. Healthy fats are the key to good health and overall wellness. And our gut needs healthy fats. So processed vegetable oils, you got to get rid of those. And of course, I always say restaurant food. For a while, if you're going to be doing gut healing, you can't be eating out because most restaurants, unless you can eat like at a farm to table, there's some incredible farm to table restaurants here in Albuquerque and some that I would visit in Scottsdale. But a lot of times, you're not going to, a lot of people aren't going to want to go spend the money or have access to that. So you just don't eat out for a while. And you just have to, and again, to do this is why if you want to do this, you do my program because I give you all the tools on how to actually make that happen. Okay. So, I feel like it's really important to reduce the toxic burden, right? It's really important to look at what you fuel your body with as something that is going to create a more optimal version of you or continue on the path to ill health, right? So as we kind of go through this process together, learning about the gut, here's the things that I want you to really understand. That a healthy gut barrier is key to vitality, to longevity, to living a life that is more at ease, and really does create more harmony in the body, okay? And that's really what I'm getting at. And the things that I listed are things that create disharmony in the body. They're things, and even if you're like, listen, I'm just gonna start getting rid of gluten. I'm going to get rid of, and I forgot to mention conventional dairy, right? Conventional dairy also pumped of antibiotics and hormones. Conventional eggs, right? We want to make sure we're getting pasture-raised eggs, deli meats, soda, processed and packaged fruit juice, and soy. I'm not a fan of soy, my friends. I'm really not. I say no to soy unless it's fermented like tempeh, or you eat it very, very, very rarely. Any artificial sweeteners and like chemicals. If you guys listen to my earlier podcast, I kind of go through how to truly source good food. And this is what we're doing is we're getting back to nature. We're getting back to living in alignment with nature in a way that our body knows how to. And when you do this, you're not going to want to go back to eating crappy food and slathering chemicals on your body. You're just not, because you're going to feel so amazing. And that's my goal, is to teach this so that you can be empowered, you can reclaim your health. Okay? All right. So let's see. Then you know what? I'm gonna cut this here, and I'm gonna start the next podcast, and we're gonna talk about digestion and also the gut-brain connection. I think that's so important. So stay tuned for that podcast, the gut-brain connection, and how digestion affects us. So yeah, I'll see you there. Thank you for joining me. Please subscribe. Please leave me a review. Let me know what you're thinking of this podcast. I'm going to be having some incredible guests coming up, and join our community on Facebook, our Hippie Mom community. Join us there in the conversation so that you can be surrounded with like-minded women, because that's what we need. We need our tribe. Okay, I love you all. Goodbye.